Hello everyone, Happy New Year and welcome to 2022. I thought that I would start the new year by sharing with you just about 20 minutes or so of yoga, bit of meditation, maybe a mantra, maybe some tapping, who knows. Just as a little bit of a January jumpstart so that we can start the year as we mean to go on, which is doing what we like and what is good for us. So if you've never practiced yoga before, great, you're doing it. Just take it easy, go at your own pace, and most of all enjoy it. Don't push yourself, and dip in and out of this. There might be things that you like, there might be things that you don't like. That's okay. So we're going to start first of all just sitting. I lost my book. There we go. Just sitting cross-legged, comfortable cross-legged position. If you find that your knees are up here and your back is rounded, it's a great idea to just sit yourself up on a block or a cushion so that your knees can just naturally fall below your hips. Crack. That's nice. So let's have the back of our head in line with the back of the pelvis. We don't want to round the lower back, so we want the hips to come slightly forwards without arching. So we have a beautiful straight line. So the base of the spine is pointing right down to the ground. We are rooting. We are looking at all that is to do with the earth. We are rooting ourselves in readiness for the new year. If we don't have a strong base, a strong foundation, we're going to find it difficult later on to support ourselves. So let's cultivate that good strong base. And feeling your sitting bones, the two bones at the base of your pelvis. You can come forwards a bit and literally scoop the flesh out from your bum, scoop it backwards, so that you are sitting on those bones, really rooting yourself into the earth. And it doesn't matter if you're 20 floors up in a tower block, just imagine that you are actually sitting on the earth. And let's start to follow our breath, just in and out through the nose, with awareness but not control. Remember, breathing is a reflex action. We do it when we're asleep. So it's beyond our conscious control. Let's just enjoy it. Just follow the breath, see where it is, see what it's doing. Notice where you feel it most strongly. It might be at the entrance to the nose, or in the throat, in the diaphragm just below the ribs, or maybe in the pit of your belly. Just settling and noticing. Let's take 3 more deep breaths. In and out through the nose. And at the end of your third breath, if your eyes were closed, you can just let them flutter open. We're going to do a tiny bit of tapping to start really clearing stuff and getting our foundations good and solid. So we're going to go to the stomach meridian. So you can see, so that's just under the eye. Oh, the lighting's not very good. Just under the eye, on each side, we can tap nice and gently, waking up the stomach meridian, waking up the earth meridian, the earth element, letting it know that, hi, we're here to play. Hi, we're here to ground ourselves, set our foundation. And from that foundation, something's moving, we can set our intentions, whatever they may be, for the year ahead. So you can tap or you can just hold. And then we can go to our spleen meridian, which is the yin equivalent of the stomach. So I'm not showing you my armpit because I really love it, which I do anyway, but because our spleen tapping point, if you go to the end of your armpit, it's just under there. So if you wear a bra, it's roughly where your bra strap is. So it's nice to give yourself a hug and just tap. Or if it's not comfortable to tap with your arms across your chest, you can just tap to the side. Be a cheeky monkey. Again, you can tap or you can just hold. And if it's comfortable to give yourself a hug, this is really nurturing. Looking after yourself, setting your own foundation. Good, so we can release that. I'm going back to my mat. And as we are beginning with the earth element and the start of the year, I'd like to share a mantra with you. One of its names is the Adi mantra, and Adi means primal or first. See where I'm going with this? So we're starting with our rooting and we're starting at the beginning of the year. So this mantra is also known as Ong Namo Gurudev Namo. Ong Namo Gurudev Namo. Ong Namo Gurudev Namo. And it translates as, I bow to the subtle divine wisdom. I bow to the divine teacher within. I bow to the subtle divine wisdom. I bow to the divine teacher within. I bow to the subtle divine wisdom. I bow to the divine teacher within. And this mantra has a focus of connection, of focusing, and it's also about teaching as well. Not just what I'm able to teach or you're able to teach, but what we can teach each other and what we can actually teach ourselves. So I'll put the details about that and where you can hear beautifully sung versions of that mantra in the comments. So let's just get our breath back, literally. And now let's swing the legs around to the side. We do some asana, some physical yoga. We've just done some mantra and some pranayama, and we are now doing some practice. So we start in our tabletop. And in tabletop, we are in contact with the earth with the balls of our feet, our knees, and our hands. So we want to line up our hips over our knees and our shoulders over our wrists. If it's more comfortable, your hands can be slightly forwards of your shoulders. Just keep a lovely crease in your wrist, pointing towards the top of your mat. Push the hands into the mat. And let's breathe in, let's lower the belly, raise the head. Breathe out, navel to spine, arch the back. Breathe in, breathe out. Let's breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Let's come back to a neutral spine. And then we can send the knees a little bit wider, so maybe mat width apart. Place the tops of the feet on the floor and then bring the hips back to the heels into our child's pose. If your hips don't meet your heels, it's fine to put a block or a cushion underneath there. And let's snuggle down to the earth in child's pose. So you can have your arms ahead of you, or to really snuggle up, bring them down by your feet. almost being like a fetus, the beginning of life, getting ready to come out into the world. And then let's come back into our tabletop. Bring the knees back under the hips. Walk the hands slightly further forward. We're going to tuck the toes. And then press down into the hands, send the hips up and back. Pressing into the balls of the feet. And then maybe we straighten out the legs a bit. If it's not comfortable for your hamstrings, the back of your thighs, just keep tipping your bum upwards, aiming to have the arms and the spine straight. The shoulders are shrugged away from the ears, and see what level of straightness you can get in your legs. So we are grounded with our feet and our hands. Now let's bend the knees. We can look up as we breathe in, and we can walk the feet towards the hands, bending the knees, keeping them tracking outwards. And then we can lift up the arms and come up to stand. So please come into the centre of your mat with the long edge facing towards you. We're going to come into Tadasana, or mountain pose. And this is the basis of all of the standing poses in yoga, and it's also a great earthing and grounding pose. So let's have our feet about hip distance, and that is roughly 2 fist distance between your feet. Let's rock back on the heels and rock forwards on the toes. Back on the heels, whoops, on the toes. Hello. Back on the heels, forwards on the toes. And then let's just come to rest in the middle. Find that spot in the middle of your foot. And you can lift up the toes again. And starting with the little toe, put each toe back down on the floor. Feels strange to have that much grounding. So really press down into the balls of the feet, the big toe and the little toe. And then press down into the heels, the outer and inner part of the heels. Let's get our hips tilting slightly upwards, a tiny bend in the knees. Have our shoulders over our hips. Our front ribs are coming in without rounding. Our chin is level with the floor, so we can gaze out like a mountain. So we have a strong foundation and we can see where we're going. Hands can be slightly turned out to the side, or you can have them with palms facing your body, facing each leg. Whichever version you choose. Let's just take 3 breaths in our Tadasana, in our mountain pose. And just explore what that feels like. Explore the teacher that's within. What is this pose teaching you? Find out what's there. And at the end of your 3rd breath, you can relax the hands. We're going to come into Vrikshasana, or our tree pose. So let's transfer the weight to the left leg. So we lift up the kneecap. We don't lock out the knee, we just lift the kneecap. So there's always a slight bend in the knee. And then your tree pose might be your right arch just sits on the top of your left foot. Your right foot may be on your shin. Oops. We don't bother the knee because we like to keep that healthy. Maybe you can bring your right foot to press against your left thigh. If your bum is sticking out, bring the hips up again. Your, what are these called? Hip flexors will love you for that. So I've got slippy leggings, so this may not last. Whichever version of tree you've chosen, maybe you want to have your palms together. Maybe you want to lift your arms above your head. Maybe you want to have them out to the side. You can bring thumb and forefinger together And I look like the goddess Kali because I've got 4 arms now. Woo! Oh. So again, what are we learning from this pose? We are earthed, but we're not earthed. 3 breaths here, please. Okay, so wherever you were in your tree pose, let's bring the right knee to the front. And let's get ready to take a step to the right. Nice big step. Okay, let's turn the toes out so that they face the corners of the mat. And then we are going to squat. Okay, so again, we keep our hip bones up and we keep our ribs coming in. So we are pressing down from the hips all the way down the legs, and somewhere in between we are reaching up. So let's reach up at the arms and then let's bring them out to the side so that they're at shoulder height, rolling the shoulders back and down. This is our goddess pose, and yes, it's tough. So we want to make sure with the knees that they're pointing over the 2nd and 3rd toes. And we can rest for a moment by straightening the legs a bit, and then let's come down. This is our goddess pose. What is this pose teaching us? What divine wisdom are we tapping into with this pose? And I realise that your legs may be really wobbly by now, so let's just hold this for 3 breaths. Don't turn this into an endurance exercise. If it's too much, please just straighten your legs. And we're going to do that now anyway. So hands to the hips, please. Let's straighten the legs. Well done if you lasted. Well done if you also listened to your body and came out earlier. So let's turn the toes to face the long edge of the mat. Roll the shoulders back and down. Slight bend in the knees. Hips come up this time. And as we breathe out, we fold forwards. So your hands can slide down your legs on the outside. They can slide to the ankles, maybe to the floor. Have your weight evenly distributed. Concentrate on the center of your foot. Let's bring the hands to the hips again. Bend the knees. Let's come all the way up. Bend the knees again. And we step the feet together. Because guess what? We have another side. So let's have our weight firmly into our right leg this time. And a great way to make sure that you are really contracting your muscles and grounding yourself is simply to lift the knee. Lifting up the kneecap. Or you can lift your toes and keep that sense of contraction and of activation to keep your leg nice and strong. So our tree pose on the other side. You can have the left arch on the right foot, the left foot on the right shin, not the knee, and then we come into the left foot pressing against the left thigh as the left thigh presses into the left foot. We're keeping our hips pointing upwards. We're keeping our ribs coming down, hands together in front of the heart. Or you can lift. Or you can open the arms out, thumb and forefinger together. What is the teacher within telling us here? 3 breaths to explore. And for a real challenge, see if you can close your eyes. Woo. If your eyes were closed, please open them again. Let's bring the knee back to the front and let's get ready for our step out to the side. So we turn our toes to face the corners of the mat and we do our squat again, our goddess pose. So hip bones come up Knees are going over the middle toes, ribs come down, arms bent at shoulder height. Let's press into the feet as we gently pulse, finding that inner wisdom that comes from the very root of our being. Feel free to straighten your legs as you feel. This is not about endurance. This is about your inner wisdom telling you what is right for you. And let's just come to a halt. And not for too long. Let's straighten out the legs. Hands to the hips. We bring the toes to the long edge of the mat. Roll the shoulders back. Hips come forwards as we breathe in. And as we breathe out, we can slide the hands down the legs to any point on the legs where it's comfortable. Just not the knees, please. Maybe the floor. And it's fine to have your feet more than shoulder width apart. So we're lifting the hips up as much as we can as we press down with the feet. Let's bend the knees, hands to the hips. We come up and walk the feet in a little bit. So heel toe, the feet closer together. And let's take an imaginary seat. We can bring our hands to, or rather our forearms to our thighs. Maybe we can bring our hands together as we start to come down into a kind of squat. And then there comes a point where you just have to be really inelegant and get your bum on the floor. So, as we are talking about our bum, and we are talking about the root, we now have our root pressing firmly into the earth. So we can make it even firmer by moving the flesh out and straight back so that we're really, really grounded. We have our hands on either side of our hips, pressing down so that our spine can soar upwards. Excuse me, certainly releasing something. So we're pressing our heels into the floor, we're pressing the backs of our legs into the floor, and your heels might actually lift off the floor. That's okay. We can release. Still keep the toes pointing towards the shins. Let's reach up. And as we breathe out, we can reach towards the feet. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. And just let the hands rest wherever is comfortable. If your forward fold is here, if your hands are by your hips, that's absolutely perfect. Just keep your lower back as straight as you can. Just avoid rounding your back. If your hands are by your knees, that's great. If your hands are by your ankles, if they're around your feet, all of that is great. Just keep that rooting, that feeling of connection and rootedness and focus. As you breathe in, we're going to come back up, and then to give our lovely stomach and spleen something to do, we can bend the left knee. So we have the left foot just outside the right hip, and then the right foot can come to the outside of the left leg. If this isn't comfortable, you're welcome to keep your left leg straight. It doesn't make any difference. So, we have the right hand behind. We're going to lift up the left arm and maybe bring the left elbow to the outside of the right knee. If this isn't working, it's absolutely fine to wrap the left arm around the right knee. If that still doesn't suit, it is absolutely fine to simply hold on to the right leg and keep yourself upright and just turn your torso. So what is this pose teaching us? It's harder to breathe when you're in a twist because you are compressing everything. What wisdom lies in this pose? Let's bring the head back to centre. Release the arms, untangle your legs. If you had one leg straight, then please continue with that on the other side. Otherwise, you can bend the right leg, bring the left foot to the outside of the right thigh. The left arm can go behind, the right arm can go around the left leg, or you can bring the right elbow to the outside of the right knee and twist. Or you can simply hold on to the front of the left shin. Experiencing the compression, the compacting, like earth is compacted. Finding how this helps us to root. So let's breathe in, bring the head back to the centre, disentangle, and let's lie down. We have our feet about hip width apart, and if your fingers can roughly reach your heels, that's great. Pressing the feet firmly into the ground. As we breathe in, we're just going to lift the hips up into the air. If it's comfortable, you can interlace your fingers and place them underneath your bum. Maybe roll the shoulders underneath a bit more. Keep pressing into the balls of the feet. Keep a straight line from the hips to the knees. Train track alignment of the legs. What is this pose teaching you? And let's release the hands if they were clasped. As you breathe out, just bring the spine gently back down to the earth. And take a moment to notice. How does that feel? You can bring the knees into the chest. Have a little rock from side to side. Maybe roll one way and circle again the other way. So you can either roll to one side to come up, or take the fun approach and just rock backwards and forwards. So crossing at the ankles, whee, and then come up. So normally at the end of a yoga session you would do a shavasana or corpse pose for relaxation, but I have decided that today we'll do something a little bit different. So let's have the left hand, put it under your bum. I know, but it's only for a minute. And then the right hand can go on the top of your head. So everything between your root and your crown. Let's just be aware of everything between the root and the crown. We are connected to the earth. We are connected to the heavens. Doesn't matter if you have no religious or spiritual belief. We're all connected to the earth, and we're all connected to something greater than earth. Let's just acknowledge that we can be rooted and we can also rise. So let's release the hands. And let's just take a few deep breaths to consolidate all that we've done. simply experiencing without judgment. If your eyes were closed, let them open. Let's reach up, breathe in, breathe out, hands to heart. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. Happy New Year, a prosperous 2022 to you, and I hope to see you again soon. Namaste.